and today I'm going to be showing you how to make our beautiful herringbone stitch mittens that coordinate with our winter Bliss toque and our herringbone twist ear warmer. And to make a set of our mittens, you're going to need 2 balls of Sugarbush Yarns Bliss and a ball of Sugarbush Yarns Drizzle. Drizzle is mohair and silk, and it's very fine yarn, but it's so beautiful and soft and warm. So combining it up with a strand of different yarn gives us a nice thick mitten, as opposed to something that would be too thin, I think, for the winter. So I'm using a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook to work up these mittens. And you can see how nice they come out with the combination of the 2 yarns. We have lots of great color options available in our shop, so if you click the description box below, you can take a look at what we have available for our kits. Okay, so I'm holding together a strand of each, and we're going to put a slip knot on our hook. And we're starting with our band, and we're going to chain 25. And now we're going to work 1 single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So here is our first chain, there is our second chain. So push your hook down through the chain, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So we're working single crochet stitches in every chain across. And when we complete working across this, you should have 24 single crochet stitches. Okay, so I've worked all the way across. I have 24 stitches, and I'm going to chain 1 and turn. So now we're going to start working in the back loops only for our entire band. So we're looking at the stitch here. Turn your work so that you can see the little V's of your stitch. This loop here closest to me is the front loop, and the loop to the back here is our back loop. So just take your hook and put it down in the center of your stitch, going through that back loop only. And then we'll just work across in single crochet stitches. So as you go, keep track that you're working 24 across. So the rest of our band will just be a repeat of row 2, and we're working a total of 26 rows. And this will be an adult size mitten that I'm working on. So when you get to the end, you'll chain 1 and turn, and our chain 1, we're not including it as a stitch throughout this pattern. So we're working into that first stitch, going into the back loop only, and you do need to make sure that you're getting both of those, the drizzle and the Bliss yarn, if you're working with 2 strands. And now I'm just going to complete working my band off camera, because we need to get a total of 26 rows worked up. So once I have that complete, I'll meet you back up. Okay, so I finished working up my 26 rows. Now I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to fold the band together and slip stitch it. So to slip stitch, you're going through the first stitch, and then you just want to go through the first stitch on the other side of your work and pull through. Go through the next stitch and the next stitch on the opposite side of your work. So you're going to slip stitch all the way up the side, so you should have 24 slip stitches in total. Okay, and I'm going to continue working mine off. Finish slip stitching mine. So this is how it should look. Now our band will get folded over, so we're just going to leave the seam right here, and then we're going to begin working around. So now what you want to do is chain 1, and now we're working all the way. We're starting to work in the round. So you have 26 rows, so you want to do 26 stitches all the way around. And we're just working single crochets for this first round to get ourselves established. I'm just crocheting over that tail as I go, and then that just saves a bit of weaving. So just continue with your single crochet stitches around. Make sure that you have 26. Okay, so I've worked around, I have 26, and now I'm going to slip stitch in the top of the first single crochet to join. And chain 2. So now our herringbone stitch pattern is going to begin. We're going to include our chain 2 now as a stitch. So we'll skip that first stitch, working into the next. So yarn over, go through the stitch, grabbing the yarn, pulling it through, first loop only, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. So yarn over, going through the stitch, grabbing your loop, pulling it through the first loop only on the hook, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're just going to continue this all the way around. Okay, so I'm just coming around, and this is including my chain. This is my 26th stitch. And if you watched my Winter Bliss toque video already, I've shown you the different ways that we can do this stitch. Now we're going to slip stitch into the top of that first one to join. Chain 2. If you keep going around, all of your herringbone stitches are going to be going in one direction. And I really prefer the look of this alternating, them going one way and then going the opposite way. So to do that, we have to turn our work. So we chain 2, and then we turn. Okay, so now yarn over, going through the stitch, pull through 1, pull through 2, and just make sure that you count as you go around to be sure that you're staying at the 26 stitch mark. Now we're working it on the wrong side, and we'll turn every round. So we get this nice alternating herringbone stitch. Now if you don't want to turn, then you can just continue and you'll get a little bit different look, but it'll still be a nice look as well. It's really up to you how you want it to look. Okay, so I've worked around and I've ended here with my 26th stitch, and then I'm just slip stitching into the first herringbone double to join, chain 2, and then I'm going to turn my work again. So now I'm back onto the right side of my work. And we'll just continue working until we get to our thumb hole. Okay, so I've worked up a total of 6 rows, and so I can see that it's a good time to start my opening for my thumb. So you can just try it on and see how it is at this point. If this is too small, if you have a larger hand, you could always add a couple more rows to your band. So maybe go up to 28, so you have 28 stitches around. But this, I'm about a medium, usually in a women's glove, I would take a medium size. So if you're larger, you may, and you're going to still have some stretch here, but if you know that you have a big hand, you could always go up and make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so we're back onto the right side, and this will be in a chain 2 and turn. So now what we're going to do is work across in 9 stitches, and then we're going to skip stitches for our thumb. So we'll still count our chain 2 as a stitch. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I've worked across 7, and now in our 7th stitch, I want to add an extra. And in our 8th stitch, we'll add 2. Okay, and in our 9th stitch, we'll add 2. We're adding these increases because we're going to be skipping a bunch of stitches for our thumb hole, and I don't want our mitten to get too tight here. Okay, so we've increased here 3 extra stitches. Now we're going to skip over 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we're going to work in to the 9th with another herringbone double. And we're going to go back right down in the same stitch because we need to add 3 extra stitches in the next 3. So there's 2 in that first stitch, 2 in the next, and 2 in the next, and then just continue working in the remaining stitches. So you should have 6 more stitches, so we should have 12 on this side, 12 on that side for a total of 24. Okay, so you slip stitch to join, we'll chain 2 and turn. And we're working just as we have been before our thumb hole. Now we're working around only 24 stitches instead of 26. 1, 2, 3. So now if you're making this for yourself, you just want to keep going in rounds until it's long enough for your hand. But I'll give you the number of rounds that I'm doing for a medium size hand, lady's hand. But if you need to go longer or shorter, it's really easy. Just stop where you need to. Okay, so I've worked up my one nice mitten here off camera, the thumb, and it's fitting really good. Now I have really long nails right now, so I ended up working up a total of 12 rounds after our thumb, but you may find 11 okay, depending on really how long. I have long fingers anyway, so you can kind of just try it on and see what you think, if you want to go an extra round or not. It's really kind of a feel as you go type thing, I would say. Try on as you go. And I've done about 6 rounds for the thumb. So I'm going to show you now how to do the thumb and close up the top. Okay, so I have probably about 5 1/4 if I measure from here. From the band to here, I have about 2 1/2. So that's a good, so you can kind of measure on your hand roughly. See, I have about 2 1/4 to 2 1/2 to here. And then if I measure my hand from my thumb opening up to my largest finger, so I'm about 5, but then if you add my nails into the equation, they're a little bit longer. So as you can see, so if you're measuring up your hand to see how big you need to do that, that gives you an idea of how long to go. So now I've taken my yarn needle. This is a really easy way to close this up. What we're going to do is go through the front loops only of every stitch around. You want to pull that as you go. So as you can see, we've pulled that in nicely. Now what you need to do is weave, continue to weave. Weave under. It's better if you have a little bit sharper, I think, needle than what I'm using. It's harder to get through. You want to keep weaving around and make sure we get this hole pulled in really tight. And then you want to weave it back in the opposite direction. And even back again, just to make sure that this hole is not going to pop open. So once you get all this finished, finish your weaving, then you can just trim your end, and then we'll work on that thumb. Okay, so that's what the top looks like. So now pull your mitten so that we're looking at this hole now. And I'm going to go so that my band is this way and I'm joining into this section here. Okay, so we're just joining in with a chain 2. We're going to work around in our herringbone double. So yarn over, going through, pull through 1, pull through 2. And now we're getting to our actual stitches that we skipped. So you should have 8 stitches. So work through those 8, doing your herringbone double crochet. Okay, so I've worked across those 8. So in total with my chain 2 so far, I have 10 stitches. So I just want to do 2 more so that I've got a total, excuse me, of 12. So 1 in that space, 1 in this space here. Whoops, sorry. 1 in this space here. And then we're going to slip stitch in the top of the first herringbone double to join. So including that chain, you should have 12. Chain 2, and we'll turn. And we're going to do, I only want actually 10 in total for my thumb. So I'm going to do some decreases here. So the first stitch, we can go through, pull up a loop, go in next, pull up a loop, and then we're going to pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through 1, pull through 2 to decrease that together, and then continue around in our herringbone double crochets until we reach the last 2 stitches, and we're going to do 1 more decrease. Okay, so we're getting to the final 2. It's a little tricky getting in here. It's a small space. So yarn over, go through the stitch, pulling up a loop, going right into the next stitch, and then we're pulling through 2. Yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. And then we'll slip stitch, chain 2, and turn. So now all we're doing is working 1 herringbone double in every stitch around. And turn. So now we're on to round 4, and you want to do 3 more rounds. So ending off on round 6. So I'm going to work those off camera now. Our chain 2 counts as a stitch. So okay, so this time I'm using a little bit smaller needle with a point to make it a bit easier, but we're doing the same process as we did with the top of the mitt. We're just going through the front loops only, pulling those stitches in as we go. It does help to pull it as you go because this mohair yarn can snag and tear easily. So if you tug as you go, it just helps. Thumb isn't so bad. It's on that top of that mitt when we're working through a lot of stitches. We're only working through a few for the thumb, so it will close up a lot easier. And there you go, look how simple. So then we're just going to do the same thing again, just get weaving. And to finish it off, you make sure you flip your glove, your mitt inside out, and just get any of those ends weaved. If there's any holes around here, there shouldn't be on your thumb, but you can always use your tail. And just to finish these off, I'm going to use some leather rivets, and I'm going to attach my customized tags going to go with silver to match my color. And the seam on these is so seamless. Really, you don't need to do different, both sides mitts can be exactly the same. We don't need a left and a right, which is awesome. You can just do the same pattern for each mitten. So these little rivets make this so easy, and my tags are from brickbubble.ca. There'll be a link on the blog for her site if you want to have your own custom tags done. So there's one, and this actually will just help you distinguish between your left and right mitt where your tags are. They just snap right together. So here's the final look. They're so warm. Pull them up, and you can tell they are a little big on the end, so you could maybe go with that one less. It's just my nails are really long right now, so I didn't want them to be too short. So here's the finished product. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please subscribe to my channel and click the bell so that you can stay updated on new videos and tutorials.